Welcome to another video from Farrago covering the federal election for 2019. I'm Lucy Williams and I will be talking through the education policies of the two major parties. Just a little disclaimer before we begin. Firstly, I'm not aligned with any party and nor is Farrago. Some of our reporters may be members of a particular party, but this will be declared in any coverage that is affected. Also, please note that the Labor costings were not released at the time of recording, so some of their policy points may seem less developed, but definitely check out the costings and further information online. Let's get into it. So as I said before, this video will be focusing on education policy, and we will be focusing on the policies of the two major parties, the Liberal Party and the Labor Party. We'll start with the Labor Party. So what does Labor think about education? So I've condensed the education policies into 4 priorities for Labor. Their first priority is to protect TAFE. The second priority is fairer funding for schools, third, funding preschools, and fourth, university funding. So starting with Labor's most developed policy area for education, protecting TAFE. Labor has proposed waiving the upfront fees for 100,000 TAFE students. They've also proposed investing in 150,000 extra apprentice incentives in areas of skills shortage. They will invest $200 million upgrading TAFEs. They will make sure 1 in 10 employees on major Commonwealth and defence projects is an apprentice. And Labor have also said that they will guarantee TAFE funding to give more people the opportunity to learn a trade and help workers to reskill. The second policy area is fairer funding for schools. Now, I just wanted to make a note for you all that a lot of this language is framed as oppositional to the Liberals, in the same way that lots of literature from the Liberals is framed as oppositional to Labor. There's a lot of verbal sparring between the two parties as you work your way through their websites, but I just want to make clear that this is not Farrago editorial. This is the opinions of the two major parties about the others. So getting into what Labor have said about fairer funding for schools, at present their website documents basically their values and doesn't particularly outline the nitty-gritty policies, but they have said that the Liberal school cuts mean our children are missing out, fewer teachers, less one-on-one attention and less help with the basics like reading, writing and maths. They also have said that they believe that Australian children deserve the world's best teaching, not the Liberals' cuts. So a third policy area is the funding of preschools. So the Labor government actually started the funding of preschools and kindergartens and early learning centres in 2009, and this was to deliver early learning for 4-year-olds. This, however, will expire next year, and the Liberals have not committed to renewing this funding as of yet. So this is Labor's third priority area, is to fund that program. And fourth, university funding. So an area that's quite relevant to a lot of you listening today. Again, Labor haven't detailed exactly how they'll go about this, but they have detailed their values. And they're summarised pretty well by 2 quotes from their website. So their first quote, Scott Morrison has announced his plan to cut university funding and increase uni fees and student debt. Second quote, access to uni should be determined by your ability and willingness to work hard, not your bank balance. So we'll see how. Now moving into Liberal policy for education. I've condensed the Liberal education policies into 5 major priority areas. So 1, more schools funding, 2, supporting choice, which I'll get into in a little bit, 3, school chaplains, 4, more apprenticeships, and 5, improving university education. So firstly, more schools funding. So the Liberals are proposing an additional $37 billion in schools over the next decade to 2029. This increases average funding per student by 62% over a decade. The Liberals also back the full implementation of NAPLAN and also support improving teacher quality by testing trainee teachers to ensure they are in the top 30% for literacy and numeracy, and refocusing the Australian curriculum on the basics. A second major policy area for the Liberals is supporting choice. Now, this means choice of education. So the Liberals back parents who choose to educate their children at Catholic or independent schools, and that includes a new $1.2 billion choice and affordability fund. An extra $4.5 billion of funding will also be available to non-government schools over the next decade. Thirdly, we have school chaplains. So the Liberals have a commitment to the National Schools Chaplaincy Program on a permanent basis with a new anti-bullying focus. Fourth, the Liberals are proposing more apprenticeships. This involves the government's new Skilling Australians Fund, which they say will create more apprenticeships over the next 4 years. They're also saying that over the next 5 years, a further 80,000 apprenticeships will be created in occupations with skills shortages through incentive payments for employers and apprentices. The Liberals have also noted, continuing with the interpolitical party sparring, when Bill Shorten was the Minister for Employment, there was a decline of 110,000 apprentices, or 22% in just 1 year, 2012 to 2013. And fifth, improving university education. So the Liberals are providing $17.7 billion to universities. They have provided over $400 million in support of rural and regional students to go to university and helped over 170,000 students from low socioeconomic backgrounds. It's unclear exactly which dates this covers. They're also saying that they're hoping to ensure all publicly funded university research is in the public interest, so that's definitely something that would be interest for anyone in academia. Thanks so much for listening. We've just scratched the surface, so keep an eye out for more Farrago election coverage and do your own research and make sure your vote counts. This video was produced on Wurundjeri land, a key member of the Kulin Nations. We pass our respects on to the Wurundjeri elders, both past and present, and acknowledge that land that we are on was never ceded.